In the early 2000s, Sony hit it big with 3 unique original properties that were exclusive to the PlayStation brand. There was Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, and Ratchet and Clank. All 3 of them were third-person platformers, and I liked all 3 of them. They all kind of were different in their own way. Jak and Daxter was kind of your straightforward third-person platformer. Sly Cooper was more stealth-based, and Ratchet and Clank was more action. It seems that Sony's taken the properties and making some CGI movies out of them, the first being Ratchet and Clank, and it looks like next year we've got Sly Cooper. And I'm sure if both of these do well, then they'll probably do a Jak and Daxter one. Ratchet and Clank's the first one out of the gate. It was directed by Kevin Munroe, who did the 2007 TMNT CGI movie that I really loved, and I thought it just got completely overshadowed. It was a shame because it had so much heart, and it felt like a continuation of the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, only now in a CGI format. And I was cool with it. I was kind of hoping they would have been able to continue with that. But anyway, Ratchet and Clank. Like I said, Kevin Munroe directed this, and it does kind of have a similar feel to TMNT. I thought that TMNT was a lot better, but that might also be because I have a lot more vested into that property. That's one of my all-time favorite things. And what I know about Ratchet and Clank, I know from what I played through part of the first game. The movie's about this evil guy named Chairman Drek, and he's going around with this spaceship that's destroying planets and taking the pieces of the planet to rebuild another planet. All the while he's doing this, he's being influenced by a guy named Dr. Nefarious, who's the big evil bad guy. That's kind of the thing with the Ratchet and Clank series. It's very tongue-in-cheek humor. There's a team of heroes called the Galactic Rangers, and they're led by Captain Quark, who has a very Zap Brannigan kind of vibe. They decide they need a new member, so they take auditions, and long story short, Ratchet and Clank get brought into the Galactic Rangers. Essentially, they took the story from the first game and retold the origin story. One thing that they did that was right on was they got James Arnold Taylor, David Kaye, and Jim Ward to do the voices of Ratchet, Clank, and Captain Quark. They're the guys who did the voices in the game, and it really only made sense to have them reprise their roles in the movie. Beyond that, it had a very impressive voice acting cast. You had Rosario Dawson, Paul Giamatti, John Goodman, Armin Shimmerman, and much to my surprise, Sylvester Stallone. The whole movie, I'm like, that voice sounds familiar. And then at the end, it's like, oh, holy crap, Stallone. It's got a good amount of humor. There's some cool action sequences in it, and keeping in line with the Ratchet and Clank series, they have a lot of the guns that made the series very popular. There's the one where you shoot a villain and they turn into a sheep, for example. Little stuff like that. It's very funny. The downside is that because it was a lower budget CGI movie, it kind of felt like a really long cutscene. It just felt like I was watching the story parts of the video game with the video game part taken out. The other downside, and this is nitpicky, it did feel more aimed at kids. And I understand that this was an animated movie for kids. But what I mean by that is there's a lot of jokes that they use that seem to show up in every animated kids movie. You know, somebody does something and they get hurt. They explode or they fall really far and then, I'm okay! It's little things like that that just, it's annoying because I know kids are going to find it funny, but it's just in everything. I've seen it in Ice Age and Madagascar and all of these animated movies. There's always the same joke that they'll use from various movies. I mean, that's just one example.
You gotta make a wish!
Wow, my wish came true.
I'm okay!
I'm glad to see Kevin Munroe directing again. I'm hoping that the Sly Cooper movie is a little bit better, because he's directing that one as well. I do feel bad saying this, but Ratchet and Clank did feel like a direct-to-video animated feature. I didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped, but I don't think that was the fault of the movie. It really was aimed more at kids than it was at adults. So this is something that I have a feeling will probably do better on the home market. I wouldn't rush out to see it unless you're a really big fan of the series or you have a kid that wants to see it.